Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to learn how we could display text in our game using libgdx. So basically the next thing which we need to do is that we need to clean up the code. So one thing which we do is that we delete all the unnecessary things, and we are going to create each and everything from scratch so as to understand how this libgdx framework works. So let's go ahead and delete everything. So let's delete the contents of the create as well as we delete the contents of this render. So now as our aim is to display some text onto the screen, so the first thing which we'll need to do is that we need to create a sprite batch object, as I've discussed earlier. So whenever you want to display something, you actually need an object in the form of a sprite batch so that you could display it on the screen. So the first thing which we need to do is that we create a sprite batch object. So if you have to declare anything, we go right here inside our class and we go outside our two methods and we create a sprite batch object. So in order to create a sprite batch object, first we type private, then we type in sprite batch, and let's name this object as simple batch. So we type batch, and as you could see, our sprite batch object has been created. So the next thing which we need to do is that as we need to display a text onto the screen, we use the object of the bitmap font. So bitmap font is basically a font which we are going to display text onto our screen. So we type private bitmap font, and let's name this object as simple font. So as you could see, our objects have been created. So now the next thing which we need to do is that we need to initialize this object. So as earlier explained, we do the initialization stuff inside this create method. So we go in here, and the first thing which we initialize is the sprite batch object. So we type batch equals new sprite batch. So basically we have initialized the sprite batch object. Now we need to initialize the font. So we type font equals new font or new bitmap font, as we have created the object for bitmap font. And now finally, let's say we want to set the color of this font. So we type font dot set color, and let's say we want to set the color to be blue. So we type color dot blue. So once our font is initialized, the next thing which we need to do is that we need to display these things by writing in some code in the render, and that is because render is the method which is going to execute the code for us. So whatever things we need to execute, we put them inside the render method. But before adding them into the render method, the next thing which we need to do is that we need to dispose of these images, or we need to dispose of these resources, and that is because whenever we have finished using them, they are going to keep on using the memory, and we are going to have memory leaks in our game. So in order to do that, we create a new method which is called as the dispose method. So we type public void dispose. So inside the dispose method, we are basically going to dispose of the resources which we have used. So the resources which we used are nothing but the batch and the font. So we type batch dot dispose, which is going to dispose the batch on use, and it is also going to dispose font. So we type font dot dispose. So basically this method right here is used in order to dispose of the resources once they are used. So now the next thing which we need to do is that we need to put this into the render so that actual text could be displayed on the screen. But before giving anything inside the screen, or before rendering anything, we need to clear the screen. So in order to clear the screen, we have a method. So in order to clean up the screen, we type gdx.gl clear color, and clear color is the method which we are going to use in order to clear the color of the screen by some color. So we are going to have 4 values inside this. So the first value is going to be for red, the second one for green, the third one for blue, and the final one for the transparency. So let's say we want to choose white, so we specify 1 for each and every option for red, blue, green, and the alpha, which is nothing but the transparency. Now once you have this thing set up, there is one more line of code which we need to write in order to initialize the screen. So that line of code is basically nothing but gdx.gl clear, and inside it we specify gl20.gl underscore color and buffer bit. So once everything is done, we are basically done. Now we move on to our main purpose, which is displaying the text on the screen. So whenever you are running this render method, the thing is that you actually need to start a batch. So in order to start a batch, we have two things. First thing is you need to start the batch, and then you need to end it, and whatever code lies in between is going to get executed during the duration of your game. So let's first go ahead and start the batch. So in order to start the batch, we type batch.begin, and as you could guess from the name, this is going to start the batch, and then we are going to end the batch. So batch.end is actually going to end the batch, and whatever code we are going to write in between is going to get displayed on the screen. So as we want to draw something on the screen, or as we want to display the text, so we type font.draw. So basically whenever we are talking about games, we don't say that we have to write something, we say that we have to draw something onto the screen. So the thing which we need to draw is the batch. So the first parameter we are going to pass is going to be the batch. So we type batch, and next parameter is going to be what we want to actually display on the screen. So let's say hello world. And now the next thing which we need to specify are going to be the XY coordinates. So whenever you are talking about graphics, in computer graphics, the 0 coordinate is right in the top left corner, but in case of libgdx, the coordinates start from the bottom left corner. So this is basically your bottom left corner, and this is what we are going to use as 0 0. So let's specify the coordinates as 100, 400, and once this is done, we are done with the code. So in order to check if we have done everything correctly, we save the code and we are going to execute this on our device. So as you could see, that's what I'm looking at on my screen. So it is basically displaying hello world, and actually it is displaying a lot, and actually it is a very small text right there. So you could use some methods in order to change that. So that's it for this tutorial, and I hope you guys understood how we could display text on the screen by using libgdx. So that's it for this tutorial, and in the next tutorial we are going to learn how we could add a simple image to libgdx. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you.